Across the azure plains, and beyond the elven peaks, lies the kingdom of Baedmon. It is an ancient land, thought by many to be trapped in its history. For better or worse, it is my homeland. Rather, it was where my home once resided. Known as the Gilded Fox, I was a mercenary held in high regard by the nobility. I fought monsters, slew demons, and kept roaming vagabonds at the fringes of civilization. Shortly after earning my royal title, murmurs and whispers began to haunt my steps. Hunger, agony, and darkness echoed from the shadows. Thinking myself stalked by a spectre, I consulted the Crown Priest. But for my efforts, I was rewarded only with exile, when the jealous holy man informed His Highness. Now, far from Baedmon, I renewed my efforts in an old trade.
Your name, my lord?
Hmm?
Well, I need to know your name, or this won't make much sense.
Very well. My name, for those so curious, is Sir Lying, and I am called the Knight of Fangs. It was a sorry lot indeed, when first I walked upon this land. Such a new, inventive location, and none to spend the coin to defend it. Well, all the better. I shall imagine they'll soon have their coffers emptied by one brigand or another. Might as well be me. Now, as it should happen, there is not much of wealth within this place. Wars are spread far and few between. But besides that, I have managed to accrue some starting wealth. As it would happen, there's a great many ruins around this area. Perhaps some fallen kingdom lays drifting among the wrecks. And somewhere is my squire. Quite exactly where they have gotten to, I do not know. We shall have to make do without them for the time being, and hopefully they shall continue in their studies without my guidance. And certainly I must procure some sustenance. Man can live on trail rations for only so long. Now, in terms of weaponry, we are scant, but we can certainly procure some degree of arms. A degree of poisonous dart is known to me, some crossbows. Perhaps a cannon might defend this place, who knows. But, as it would happen, first day at least, we must investigate some new ancient science. Some strange working of light, and it is called the Aura Cascade, for which we shall need all of my gold. I'm not getting paid for this. You might think that being the Gilded Fox that I might have sufficient wealth to purchase my own kingdom, but alas, that opportunity was stolen from me. Now, as I understand it, we shall need a number of devices known as nodes, as well as this vortex controller device, And presumably several of the associated pedestals. Yes, of course, this will drain my coffers quite substantially. That blasted, utterly worthless wretch of a man. Precisely what he feared of me, I have no clue. Certainly I spent enough days fearing his lords, fearing his gods. Look where that got me. Look where it got him. I shall imagine he retrieved his own fiefdom for his actions. And here I am in exile. Truly there is little justice in this world, it would seem. But none the matter. In all worlds there are evils. In all realms there is mercantile work to be made. And I shall certainly find some. Now, let's place you here for the time being. No valid recipe selected, I should imagine not, nor do you have any particular means of containing it if you did. Apologies, friends, I may be somewhat irritable today. I've lost track of my caravan, I have lost track of my squire, and as yet there is no new work on the horizon, so yes, I may be slightly irritable. I shall imagine you were expecting something far more noble, something far more... perhaps something far of higher station. But no. You get me on a bad day. Well, no matter. Now, we must procure a means of power for this device, such as to procure this object, the cascading processor, requiring ferni. It must be made in this, with a great deal of red aura. Now, I do not believe it will be particularly difficult to procure such aura, although it may take a fair few of my diamonds, scant as they may be. But we must release them upon the pedestals from a substantial height, and then cycle them back up. The difficulty being in procuring their means upwards. Now, let us do away with this glass that we have little use for alternatively. Find our way to a pump. Something which we may fuel to find our way upwards. And I should think that this burning aura pump would do the trick, but for the scant lack of lapis in my coffers. As I say, the ore in this realm is far between. The wealth's found mostly in the old ruins, but I have seen notes of there potentially being a village in that direction, so perhaps we shall find some gain there. And certainly, Lancelot, I must procure you some means of proper stabling. I do not imagine this will hold you for very long. The trick, it would seem, with this Aura Cascade business is to provide a means of creating a loop. The difficulty in procuring a loop, however, would be in the constant requirement of there being power, some degree of fuel for the pumps, which are in turn limited in how much they might move at a given moment. But nonetheless, I'm sure we'll find something. There must surely be some fruitful means of addressing the matter. I do not trust these woods. They are forsaken. But they do provide certain strategic advantages, and I say, Ah. Convenience is not on my side, it would seem. But, as night approaches, a degree of visual acuity in the darkness is a well-warranted affair. But it would seem someone has opened the gates to Fel Hazard. I've had quite the bother with skeletons. The undead scourge still roams the land, it would seem. And as I say, one of 2 free fallen castles. There must certainly have been someone of wealth and power in this area, or else why would there be such devastation in their wake? But none stand today. Well, I do not imagine that we shall find much help in this the eve. And my affliction prevents me from sleeping at night. The moon is far too tantalizing a mistress. Still, you do get used to certain portions. Riding a horse is not the most easy thing when you happen to be a canine, but one does find a way. And certainly it has a history, providing a great deal of confusion towards the enemy when they see a wolf riding into battle atop horseback. And truly, there is far too little military used inside of these realms. Far too much charging headlong. Very little meaningful strategy. Perhaps that shall be the crux of my trade. My appetites whet by the desires of many for insurmountable foes to be crushed. I have felled demons, I'm sure I can fell whatever strange monsters these tender farmers might crop. Well, let us return. The hour draws far too late to be trading, and little wealth have I to trade with. Though that shall soon change. I didn't ask for this. There are only a handful of things in this world that one man can truly yearn for, and certainly among them, a tail and fangs were not among what I had asked for. But when you're in the business of monster slaying, some monsters have tricks of their own. Still, I had thought the nobility was quite at ease with my affliction. I had thought they had come to terms with it, but no, no. Whispers and murmurs and all the slurs that their finest jesters can concoct. No wonder they called me the Knight of Fangs. How much longer must this night last? How much longer must I be born to 4 legs? I shall regale you further in a moment. Right. Dawn has risen. The mines have been plundered of their lapis, though few it is again. And we have the means by which to progress with this aura cascade system. Now, we shall need 6 iron ingots, like so, 2 lapis lazuli, and one aura node by which to create a burning aura pump, and as I am certain there are a number of you wondering why I didn't just try and make some other pump, this device is the basis of them all. Now, provide this with coal and some other form of power, and it will draw the aura from these pedestals and pipe it directly upwards, where we must then distribute it once more down. The greater the altitude, the greater we might actually gain from this. But the sooner that we can actually get this working, then the sooner that we might profit from it. Excellent. It indicates already that it is working. Now, the only matter is how far up must we build this? And it would seem I have very little precious dirt to my name for this. So I must waste my pick doing this. Wonderful. Very wonderful. The greater the altitude, the greater the gain. Yeah, but it would seem this is far too high for it. No? Evidently there is a degree of limitation to its range. Though precisely what this range is, I do not know. Only that it will indicate to me when it finally enters it. The scholars never prepared me for doing this. Ah, there we are. And with that, we connect to the first pedestal. Now, 3 more of these aura nodes, and we might actually have this system functioning in the episode. Hopefully, my squire will have returned to me by the next. My horse needs tending to, after all. Alas, I have only the resources for 1 more node. So let us continue, therefore, with the generation of these crystals, which requires dye and aura crystals, which requires more glass and a diamond for a stack of it. I'm not cut out for such menial labor. I'm cut out for cutting others. The fruits and tongues of beasts. Well, I suppose I shall have to make do. Humble as these beginnings may be, I shall imagine we shall see a great deal of prosperity in the near future. It is, after all, largely what got me knighted. But let us begin with the procurement of our first batch of crystals. Now, there should be roses within range here. Should there not? Should there not, I should be quite surprised. Little is known of this area. It is bereft of many maps, and I should think there is likely good reason why, with all of these fallen kingdoms. Perhaps it is simply ill-suited for the inhabitation of man. Perhaps there is something here which thwarts their colonization efforts, but certainly I shall learn the nature of its mystery in due time. There we are. This should procure the first of our essence as we need it. And I shall imagine that glass is finished now. So we might actually get to see this system working. Assuming indeed that it works. As I say, I'm not cut out for this. Engineering work is left to the engineers. Slaying is left to kings and princes. There we are. 64 white aura crystals. We need only dye them the shade of our intent. And 8 red crystals, of which we shall require many. There we go. Now I see it gathering in our erstwhile pump. So let us treat it with some sustenance. And that shall be our lot for the day. Slowly but surely, the system continues. Now, there may be some better way that we might automate this, but as it stands, I am unable to retrieve it, so for the time being, I must go once more underground. Once more, I must visit these dreaded mines. And I shall see you all next time.